The agricultural sector in KwaZulu-Natal is counting the cost after the devastating floods. Preliminary reports from a survey of the province's cane growers reveal extensive damage estimated at 194.9 million rand. Farmers also have been experiencing difficulties moving their products to the market, due to the backlog at the Durban harbour. We're joined now by Andrea Campher from the Risk and Disaster Unit at AgriSA. Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning. So that's the situation from the Cane Growers Association. But as AgriSA, when you take a look at the situation or from preliminary reports, what is the extent of damage to the industry in KZN?
Good morning and thank you for the opportunity. So the Durban port is strategic for many agricultural commodity exports from across the country, and particularly for fruit. So there's already early season citrus in the market, and it's also currently harvesting time for a number of commodities, making it access to a functional port very critical for these producers to access. For the big challenges for export also comes from the conditions set out in trade agreements. Producers must meet certain requirements for quality, and if agricultural produce that's meant for export is delayed, the impact of the quality of those produce can be, can attract penalties, or there can be quite a complete loss of income. We also know that the bridges and the road infrastructure is badly or severely affected by these rains to and from the harbour, and also leading up to markets or mills. And this might lead to a total disruption of the supply chain at large. There's also impacts for farmers trying to access field to harvest due to the rain. And we're also aware that many regions do not have any water supply at this stage. And load shedding makes it all very difficult for rescue operations if you look at humanitarian side to continue. So, the impact is very diverse at the end of the day.
The Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan on the 19th of April gave an update to the nation saying that the Durban harbour is fully functional from the perspective of the Transnet Ports Authority at least. Are you saying it's a different picture on the ground?
The picture has changed drastically. I think there's a lot of congestion still. Not all the roads are fixed. They're still trying to fix all the roads. So leading up into the harbour for exports there can be like a bottleneck at some roads that can make it difficult.
There's been a figure of 91.1 million rand that has been bandied about that is needed to help farmers recover from the floods in KwaZulu-Natal. I wonder if AgriSA has done an estimation of just how much it will take to restore the industry.
Well, there is a preliminary report by the Department of Agriculture for KwaZulu-Natal. But AgriSA is working closely with industry as well with our provincial affiliate in KwaNalu, and they are also still busy doing impact assessment. There's also more rain expected, so it's difficult now to determine the exact amount of damage that is occurred to the sector. We saw a report end of last week from the provincial Department of Agriculture in KwaZulu-Natal that losses amounts to about 65 million. But then when you look at the SA cane growers or the cane grower industry at large, they've reported, as you rightfully said, more than 190 million. A recent report that we also got from them, it's over 220 million at this stage, and it's also preliminary because there is more rain expected. And these damage are for field and infrastructure around these crop areas. So, I think the damages might unfold later to much bigger amounts that we have been seeing now currently.
Fair enough. To your point of more rains being forecast by the South African Weather Services, what do you perceive perhaps as an organization needs to be an immediate priority?
I think immediate priority is making sure that your disaster management structures are fully equipped and they are able to deal with the impacts that, you can't not expect that the rain is going to cause damage. You have to be prepared. Farmers are also, they need to be prepared for flooding occurrences on farm, make sure that they are, they have the necessary equipment or they do steps to mitigate the impacts at the end of the day. But yeah, I think loss of life at this stage is one of the critical points, and we have to make sure that people are safe. They have to check out weather warning reports that is published by the South African Weather Service, and make sure that they are not in low-lying areas where flooding might occur. The same with farmers and farming communities. We cannot afford that there's any impacts to the agricultural sector. We know that the war in Ukraine and Russia, can also might have an impact. So for our own country, we have to make sure that our agriculture, keeps on producing, and we don't have any significant impacts at large to our food security.
So we've got, I think maybe perhaps you'll correct me if I'm wrong, please, we've spoken about commercial farming, but what about subsistence farmers, right? So small scale, but they are providing to the larger village, and you've also got people who've got cattle, etc. We understand that the rural areas have been amongst the most that have been worst impacted by the recent heavy rains. Any assessments on subsistence farmers?
From organized agriculture, still busy with assessments. The Department of Agriculture, I know, is busy conducting assessments, especially for these groupings of farmers. But it's very critical. These farmers provide food security for their own households, for the immediate communities. And if they are...
Point well taken. Thank you very much. Andrea Campher, Risk and Disaster Unit at AgriSA. Unfortunately,